Hello everyone, welcome back to our today's class. In today's class, we are going to learn about DMA, which is direct memory access. So this direct memory access device is used to access high-speed devices such as your drum and disk and tape. Now, what happens in such kind of devices? This DMA will provide the access to input-output devices without taking considerable time from your CPU. Earlier, in the other approaches which we have used till now, which were your interrupt initiated input output and programmed input output and interrupt initiated input output, interrupt initiated input output. So in both of them, the CPU was busy in one or in another way. In the first case, CPU was busy in checking the flag bits again and again. In the case of second one, the CPU was busy always to get the interrupt value and then leave its task and return back to the input output operation and perform that. So eventually, CPU was the one which was performing the task. Now, with the help of DMA, we can avoid this task. Now, in DMA, CPU will not be involved in performing the input output task. Only CPU will be used to assign or grant certain values. It will only initialize the value of DMA, and once it has initialized the DMA, it is not going to perform any other task. Its only task will be to check that whether the transfer was successful or not. So for this, the CPU is having different values in it. There are different initialization commands which your CPU issues. So let us firstly talk about the first bus which it has, that is a bus request. Now, whenever a input output device wants to transfer some data, it has some data, it wants to send that data, it forwards its request to the DMA. Then DMA decides whether if it is a fast device, then DMA will at the same time try to get the access from CPU and it will generate a bus request for the bus which is going to connect to the memory. So it requires that bus. Then if CPU is not using the bus, it will grant with the access. So if this bus grant is given to the DMA, then DMA will further start sending the data from peripheral device to memory. This bus request and bus grant signals are related to the memory bus. So it is just to ask for the permission that is it permissible to DMA to use the memory bus or not. If it is allowed, then DMA will transfer the data to the bus to the memory, and later on it will just inform the CPU that I have completed the transfer. So that is the only task which CPU is going to do, that is firstly to get a request and then grant the bus. There is one another thing which CPU is going to perform, that is if your CPU wants to send some data, it should give him the address. Now as it is not directly interacting with the input output device, it can't send the data, or it cannot get the data or address directly from the input output device. So what it has to do, it has to send that data to the DMA controller. Now next is the task of DMA controller to perform all that work. Now how this interaction is done, there is a data bus which is connected with the D bus of your CPU. There is one address bus which is connected with the A bus of your CPU. So DMA is connected with your CPU directly through A bus, which is address bus from data bus, and there are read and write signals. So read and write signals are there. So eventually the CPU is the controller of DMA, and whenever CPU is sending some data, it sends there are three different things which it sends to the DMA. The first one is the address, second is the word count, third one is the control register. So in control register, it initializes the value, what type of operation it has to do, how to do that operation. It is mentioned in the register, control register. Then how many words it has to get or it has to transfer is given in the word count. Then from where it has to, what is the address register from where it has to get those words, so that is given at this place. Now the process of incrementing this register by 1 or 2 is done by your DMA itself. Now in this, for example, if I want to read 4 words and the address which is given to me is 5, this is the address which is mentioned by the CPU, and I have to count, I have a 4 word count. Now what does it mean? Starting from fifth address, CPU has to read 4 words. So it will read 6, read 7, read 8, and that's all. So what it will do, once it is having this address, it will keep on incrementing this address by 1. So like earlier it was 5, then it will become 6 for the next iteration, and this word count will become 3. Then it will move to the next one, then word count will become 2. Then it will move to the next one, and the word count will become 1. Then it will move to the next one, like ninth, and the word count will become 0. So at 0, this is done. So right, if it is saying 4 words including a 0 word, there will be total 5 words, including this address. So always the address will be reduced by 1, incremented by 1, whereas the word count will be decremented by 1 on a successful transfer of a word. So whenever one successful transfer is done by the DMA, it will decrement the word count, whereas it will increment the address by 1. And from where it gets the address? From CPU. So CPU will give the address for the first time, and then it will keep on incrementing it by itself. So now let us move to the different values which we have on a DMA controller. So DMA controller has a data bus buffer, so which stores the data. It buffers that data for certain time. Similar, we have address bus buffer, which is going to store the data. I have already told you about the address, word count, and control registers. Then we have DS, which is your DMA select, whether you want to make the DMA work or you want to stop it. So if DMA select is 0, it will not work. If it is 1, then it will work. Then we have RS, which is a register select. So according to that, the data can be sent to these registers. Then we have read and write signal. Then we have bus request signal, which will be a unidirectional signal from DMA controller to CPU. Then there is a bus grant request, which is a output signal from CPU, which will reach to the controller. Then we have an interrupt. Now this interrupt signal which we have, it is connected with your CPU, and it is only to let the CPU know about the status of the transfer, whether it was successful or whether it was unsuccessful. So similarly on this side we have a DMA request and DMA acknowledgement. This is connected with the input output device, or you can say peripheral device. Let us move to the next diagram. Now it will be more clear from the next diagram. What is it? Then we have one another very important uh, concept which is known as cycle stealing. Now this is very important. Why? Because you might have a question. We have a CPU, we have a DMA, we have a single memory, and both the DMA and CPU access this memory. Now, it might be possible that when DMA is requesting for a bus, like it is sending a BR command that I want a bus to transfer the data, CPU might be busy at that time. But as CPU is fast as compared to the DMA device, it is very unlikely that CPU is not going to issue it a bus grant request. Okay, it is very unlikely that it will not do this. It will always generally give the bus grant permission to DMA. Secondly, if both of them do a type of request at the same time, like there are multiple CPU and there is a DMA, the higher priority is given to the DMA because it is a slower device. If we don't give it a higher priority, then it will starve for its turn, and then it means your system will not be responding to the commands from the user. So now let us talk about it. So while DMA input output takes place, CPU is executing instructions. So it is very clear CPU is having its own registers on it. CPU is having registers. If we talk about this memory, it is RAM. So it is having its own registers. So even if it does get disconnected from this memory, still it can execute the instructions which are already loaded in its register. So CPU can execute that data if it wants. So CPU is executing the instructions. DMA controller and CPU both access the memory. So because if they both are accessing, there might be some conflicts when both are trying to access the memory. So how it is done? There is something known as memory bus controller. Now, what is the task? What is the function of that memory bus controller? It is to coordinate the activity between the DMA and memory and to provide one of them the access of memory. Now, in this case, there is a priority system. Memory access by CPU and DMA controller are interwoven. Now, what is interwoven? Like, if this is a cycle, or this is a clock cycle, we can say. If this is a clock cycle, inside this clock cycle, if once in one cycle DMA has accessed the memory, in the second one DMA has accessed the memory, in the third one CPU can access the memory, fourth DMA, fifth again CPU, again DMA. So these two are interwoven. Interwoven is something like this. Okay, so it is something like this. But if one cycle is used by one, then the second cycle can be used by the other one. So that is a interwoven structure. So this concept of stealing the cycles of DMA, like CPU was using the memory, now DMA has stolen some of its cycles. Now it is not that CPU is all, because earlier a concept was that CPU was the only one which was accessing the memory. Now if we have a DMA, now DMA just suddenly gets certain values out of the CPU values or the excesses of CPU. It simply gets some values out. So that is known as a cycle stealing. This is a clock cycle. So it is simply stealing these cycles in which earlier the access was of CPU, even if it was accessing it or not, doesn't matter. But earlier this was provided to CPU only. But now when we are using DMA, DMA gets it for his own execution. So this concept of using the CPU memory cycles by DMA is known as cycle stealing. And if you read it properly, the main priority is given to DM because it is a slower device. So CPU is generally a very fast device as compared to DMA. So CPU uses the most of memory cycles because if CPU is using, if CPU is going to access the data from memory, it will be using most of the memory cycles. So DMA steals some of the memory cycles from CPU. For those stolen cycles, CPU remains idle. Okay? Now CPU can always execute the registers. If we want to make it idle, there is no problem. So for those slow CPU, DMA controller may steal most of the memory cycles, which may cause CPU to remain idle for longer duration of time. Now there is one contradiction which we said earlier. Why we were why we have introduced the CPU? CPU was why we have introduced the DMA? DMA was introduced to make this CPU work when we are transferring the data. Now it is done by DMA, but DMA is also making it idle. It remains idle till the time we are not executing. So it is having very less effect on the speed of CPU. Then what is the benefit of getting a new device? Now there is something known as heat up. On one side, CPU was always busy in doing certain tasks. It was checking the values again and again. It was checking the interrupt, the flag bits again and again. So it was doing its task and it was remaining busy. So it was getting heated up. And this is the biggest problem which we were having in the CPUs which were without DMA. Then DMA was introduced. Now, what does this is a kind of load sharing which is done with the CPU. So now all the input output tasks are not done by CPU. Now DMA does that work. So DMA is the one which is going to heat up and our CPU will remain idle for that time when the transfer is happening. It is not only related to the speed up, it is also related to a problem of heat up. That was also a need of time, that because we were increasing the cycles of CPU. Now we are having gigahertz processors which are working on a very fast speed. So they were getting heated up. So DMA was introduced to overcome this problem as well. Okay? So instead of keeping the CPU busy for a longer duration of time, they helped it to make it idle. And that idle time is very small. It is not going to affect on the performance much. So after this, when this thing was done, there was something new which was introduced. So that was known as IOP. So we will discuss about that IOP in the next slides. But before that, let us talk about the DMA transfer and how it is connected with memory. So now you can see it in the diagram, it is quite evident. The connections are similar to what we have done. Now, what is happening here? We have a DMA controller, we have an input output peripheral device, we have certain data, we have a data bus, we have a address bus, there are write and read lines. These write and read lines are directly used by the DMA controller because they are connected here. If you check with the DMA, they are also connected with the RAM, with the CPU. So CPU is going to access the same RAM which DMA controller can access. Now, if a peripheral device wants to send some data, it firstly sends a DMA request, so which reaches at this place. So once it reaches here, then DMA controller, if it is a fast device, then DMA controller tries to interrupt the CPU by sending a bus request. If CPU is not using the RAM or it is idle, it simply sends a bus grant request and that DMA gets that. Once it is here inside the DMA controller, once it has got the request bus grant, it acknowledges the input output device that it can transfer the data. So directly the data transfer is done by using the DMA controller, and this input output peripheral device sends its data to RAM. In that meantime, when the data is getting transferred, your CPU remains idle. It doesn't do anything. So after that, inside this we have read and write operations, we have address, we have data, we have address select, which will help you to select the address where you want to transfer the data. All that stuff is here in the address select. Now there are two more things which we were having, that was your control register, address register, word counter, word count register, and control register. So this is inbuilt in this setup. It is having that inside it. So everything whatsoever command your CPU is going to issue, that will be stored in those word count and counter registers, so which is inside the DMA controller. So it will perform that task. This particular diagram is only to show you the external connectivity of DMA with CPU and memory. This is how it is connected. Now, as I told you earlier, whenever there is any value to read, this address register will be auto incremented, whereas this word count will get automatically decremented by one once this data is transferred successfully. Now, once the data transfer is completed, how DMA controller will know that data request is completed? Whenever the word count which we were having, when this word count value, which is initialized by the CPU, becomes 0, it means the data transfer was successful. So what it will do, it will send a interrupt once it is complete. According to the DMA will send an interrupt to the CPU, and then CPU will check that value of word count. It will simply, it is having a connection with this, so it can check that value inside this uh, DMA controller, that what is the value of word count. It simply sends the word count to the CPU. If the word count is 0, it means the data was successfully transferred. If there is some other value, it means data transfer has failed. Then it will restart the work. Now, if you see, this data bus is the one which is connected with this internal bus containing all these values. So if you check this circuit, you can see this, that the all the word count and all the registers are connected with this, and they are inside the DMA controller. They are at this place. So that is why we have this circuit: DMA request, DMA acknowledgement. This is internal buses. So these are inside the DMA controller. They are part of DMA. So this was all related to our DMA bus or DMA device. Now the next things which we have, that is a priority interrupts. What is a priority? What is a priority interrupt? So we will talk about them in the next class. So we have hardware priority interrupts, parallel priority, priority encoders, and the last topic is input output processor. Now actually the PMA was not to be done in this class. Why? Because it is before IOP. So before after modes of transfer, we were having priority interrupts. But I felt that it is better to start with DMA, because you are already aware what was input output, programmed control input output, what was interrupt initiated input output. So that is why I had covered the DMA as well at this place. There is a slight shuffle between the topics. So the next topic which we are going to do is our priority interrupt.